Welcome again. As usual, my name is Elijah Oenga, and with me is Antonio Raimondi, and we've been working on a series, and today we are doing the third series, and we are looking at investment in Africa and opportunities for investment in Africa. And as one of the investors, as someone who's worked in this continent for a long time, we can't wait to delve into that topic. Kindly watch our previous videos in which you will get to know Antonio. And in the second, that is part one and part two. And in the second video, we already discussed why aid cannot work in Africa and should not be the path forward for prosperity. Today, we want to offer insights on some of the opportunities that Antonio has experienced within Africa and how people can position themselves to take advantage of those opportunities and how to partner. So, as usual, Antonio, welcome to the show, and kindly, for the sake of those watching just this episode, introduce yourself.
Thank you, Elijah. Thank you so much for inviting me. As you said already, my name is Antonio Raimondi. I'm Italian. I've been working for almost all my life in International Corporation for Development, so the aid field. I worked in many countries of the world, in all the continents. That was a great luck for me, so I came to know many cultures, many different problems, but also several different solutions to those problems. I've also been in politics for 5 years. I've been the mayor of my hometown in Italy. The municipalities in Italy are very important, so to be a mayor is an important role. And now I'm 4 years that I'm living in Kenya. Before I lived in Ethiopia for several years. This is living, but I traveled for many African countries. I can just say Eritrea.
Yeah.
Travel means I worked for projects, for developing projects there. Eritrea. I've been to Burundi. I've been to Congo. I've been to Rwanda. I've been to Madagascar.
Zanzibar.
I've been in Zanzibar. I've been in Cameroon, in Angola, and of course also the North African countries, which are Tunisia, Egypt. This is for work. Then for leisure, also Morocco and other countries. But this is my experience. And now I'm here with Elijah, and Elijah, tell me.
Okay, so you've traveled in Africa more than I have, so for sure you can say much more about Africa than me. You know, sometimes we always say, oh, I'm African, so no, sometimes there are people who've come to Africa and have really loved Africa and have explored Africa much more than even there. I've met people, Americans, Britons, who really understand and love Africa much more than even the locals. So we're glad that you've interacted with this continent. For the person watching for the first time, never been to Africa, paint a picture for them of this continent. If you're an artist, Michelangelo, or just paint for us, Antonio, an Africa in your mind.
A painting, it would be a painting full of colors.
Yes.
Full of colors. I would put all colors there, different, all the colors possible. I would do a painting where you just have colors all over, and then I would also a second painting. I will paint one of the beautiful women of Africa. Yeah. For the reason why, because the women in Africa are really strong.
Yes.
Extremely strong. Probably even too much. I'm joking, of course, but no, it's a. First of all, for those who've never been to Africa, Africa is not, sometimes we say the stereotype is, I've been to Africa. They've been probably to Malindi, which is a
tourist resort.
Touristic place in Kenya.
Commercialized.
But you cannot say I've been to Africa, I've been going to Malindi. So, and then, Africa is a continent with 50 countries.
52 countries.
Yeah, 52 countries. So, you know, and these countries are, many of these countries are very different. Eastern Africa is one thing, Western Africa is another, Southern Africa is another. North Africa, it's geographically Africa, but we don't have to forget that that is above all the Arab,
Peninsula.
Arab world, let's say, both from a language, cultural point of view, religious point of view, etc. So, I mean, Africa is very, very. That's why it's multicolored.
Yeah.
Multicolored. So we could not say the standard is Africa. Like, well, the same thing we have to think about Europe. Yes, Europe has, even Africa has something in common. Even Europe has many things in common, but we also, the countries are also different.
Yeah,
From each other.
it's interesting to note that sometimes when you listen to international media or you listen to Europeans or Americans, for most people who not well traveled, they lump Africa as one country. They never understand that Africa is a painting of Algeria and Lesotho, and you have the smallest country in Africa, Seychelles, the largest country in Africa, Algeria, and then you have the largest in terms of population, Nigeria. And all these countries are different,
So
unique,
different, so different from them.
and
So
they
different.
have totally different things to
and,
offer.
and even inside each country,
Yes.
there are a lot of differences too.
Yeah.
Like for example, now living in Kenya or even before living in Ethiopia, they are let's say tribes
Yep.
slash ethnic groups that are quite different from them. In Ethiopia, you cannot put the Tigrinya as the Oromo
Yeah.
or the Sidamo people, for example, north and south. Even here in Kenya, you have the Kikuyu, you have the Lua, the Luya, the Masai, the Kisi,
Yeah.
the Meru, the Turkana. There are so many tribes, and they have different, different cultures. You know, so you have to. I mean, what I want to say with this, you cannot be superficial with Africa. Huh?
Yeah.
You need.
There is a depth.
Yeah.
To Africa, because you go to Nigeria, you have the Yoruba, the Hausa, the Igbo. You come to Tanzania, you have the Makonde, you have the Kuria, you have the those in Zanzibar. You come to Kenya, even Indians are a tribe now in Kenya. They are a tribe now in Kenya. Just to paint that Africa is really diverse in that sense, and that someone who's been to Europe, someone who's been in Africa, and someone who's been in Asia. Sometimes I dare say, Antonio, correct me if I'm wrong, that Africa is one of the most diverse continents we have.
It is. It is. And Africa, let me also say that Africa is the continent where humanity started.
They say Kenya is the cradle of humanity.
Between Kenya and Ethiopia. These are the two countries.
Mm.
So everything started here in this continent. And at the same time, as everything started here, I think that everything can restart from here.
I like that.
Can restart,
rejuvenate and refresh. Because if you look at Africa in the past, before let's say the colonialists came, we had our own democracy. We had we lived and intermarried peacefully. We had rich cultures. So we have something to teach the world, and maybe we call it the Ubuntu way of doing things.
Yeah.
You know, collective. We had a system where women had their place and they were leaders. Man, so it's a beautiful continent for those of you watching for the first time, and kindly explore more about Africa. So Antonio, I know you've been to some of the most beautiful places in Africa. Can you mention a few places that you've been and you're like, wow, this is something?
Well, I can say that there's not one African country that I visited that I didn't like. It's incredible. Eritrea and Ethiopia, they have, they're a bit, it's not yet a Kamitic Africa. Let's say, I call it a bit a Semitic Africa. Even the features, they're a bit different. The language is nothing to do with any other African language, nothing to do with Swahili, for example. And also the fact that they're very close to the Middle East. As a matter of fact, in the ancient times, to say black, a black person, used to say Ethiopian. Because the world was the Mediterranean area, okay, the Egyptian Empire, the Greek Empire, the Roman Empire, was called Ethiopian. It meant the man with the burned face. The etymology is that part of Kenya is, you have a lot of tourism in Kenya also because you have the wildlife here in Kenya is wonderful. There are parks that you should come and you should bring your kids, especially to see really the nature. The coast is wonderful. Diani is probably the most beautiful beach in Africa. Somebody says it's the second one. I mean, Mount Kenya, Rift Valley. You have so much in this country, really. And then Madagascar. Madagascar is wonderful. Madagascar is wonderful. Rwanda, the country of the eternal spring. Can you imagine? A country where it's always spring.
And the land of the hills, and the valleys as you go to Burundi. It's
Rwanda
beautiful.
Burundi is also a very beautiful country. Angola is beautiful. Cameroon is beautiful. I remember Tanzania is wonderful. The pineapples that I ate in Cameroon, for example, it is incredible. I mean, I could say, and I still have to visit. As a matter of fact, I hope that in the next 2-3 years I will visit other countries that I've never been to. For example, I've never been to South Africa, and I want to go to Cape Town. I want to go to Kruger Park. I want to go to Namibia.
I want to go to Namibia.
We go together.
We go together.
That's it.
It will be better even to do a drive.
Drive. That would be
to
great.
Zambia and to. I would love to do that.
There are many. I would like to go to Senegal too.
Senegal, Ghana.
I would like to go to Dakar. I would like to see Dakar. The wonderful Dakar. But it's a wonderful country. It's really.
I mean, we could go on and on and on. As Antonio keeps saying, Africa is so diverse, rich in culture, rich in sights and scenes. For instance, East Africa is very known for the wildlife, the ocean, the Indian Ocean, also very well known for culture. West Africa, again, Nigeria, Ghana, Senegal, very diverse again from East Africa. And then you have the north of Africa, the Egyptians, Morocco, more towards the Middle East. And then you have the southern part of Africa, very beautiful, very rich in culture. Botswana, you're looking at Lesotho with the reed dance. You're looking at South Africa itself with Kruger National Park and the diversity in people. And I mean, if you wanted to invest in Africa, Antonio, we've painted the picture of Africa. What are some of the key areas? Some of our viewers are wondering, okay, is Africa just beautiful, or does it afford and offer opportunities beyond its beauty?
In Africa, you can do everything. I think that there are many sectors in which you can invest here in Africa. And please don't think only in mining. I mean, that is only one sector. And unfortunately speaking, especially most of the times, that is a sector where the people grab things and not,
extract
and
forceful
and they just run away.
It's almost a dirty word in Africa to associate with mining.
But but mining, if corrected, if really governed by the governments, I think that mining is be a very big resource for Africa, but not as it is now. But of course. We said that Africa is beautiful. So tourism, for example, is a sector where you can really invest in this continent. Tourism is one of the sectors, but agriculture. If you really want to, this is the continent. With the larger, we often said this is a country that can feed probably the whole world.
Yeah, for sure.
The agriculture in Africa can probably feed the whole world, and I really wait the day in which this happens. There's a lot of agribusiness to do here. So agriculture can be a huge sector.
For sure.
And let us say, together with agriculture, also the transformation of the products of agriculture.
Value addition.
Value addition, chain,
Yeah.
and you can export all over the world.
Yeah.
You can export in Africa, as we said, for the diversity, and you can export all over the world. Then we have manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that Africa still really has to work a lot on.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that
we are net importers. We, like we said in our previous video, Antonio, we have this habit of selling our raw materials. Yet we give coffee and we buy Nescafe.
That's it.
We give coffee at $1, just for analogy, and process. Then we buy it for $10 in a Nescafe. In Ivory Coast, they give cocoa and Ghana in raw form, and then they buy Cadbury's.
Yeah.
We give diamonds from Botswana to De Beers, although Botswana is changing now, and then we buy it in finished form.
Probably, I think that in Africa, what you never had, because this is something that is only 200 years old.
Yeah.
Manufacturing with the new model of factories, with the new model of power, etc. Started in England at the beginning of the 20th century. So it's 200 years.
Yeah.
And we went to France, then went to Germany, then went to Europe, and then went to the US.
Yeah.
But the real issue here is you never went through a real manufacturing organization. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
You were you went through agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
You went through pastoralist,
Mm-hmm.
so growing livestock, fishing.
Yeah.
Okay, but you don't have this background in manufacturing. I think it's time.
Mm-hmm.
It's time that the governments of Africa, all of them,
Mm-hmm.
should start with that and have with the companies, the corporates that want to come over, have real and sound strategies, policies, and agreements. This is very important.
I like that because, Antonio, you bring out something very critical. Not just governments. We have so many Africans who are in the diaspora now, and I think they have seen and learned. For instance, I lived in the UK for a very long time. Don't you think also we could make that rallying call to Africans in the diaspora and other investors in Europe and other continents to consider Africa as a manufacturing?
No, that is a must. I think that is a must. I give that. I'm sorry, I give that as already acquainted in the sense that yes, first of all, the Africans that from Africa they went out, they were successful. They made money. They have now enough capital. But of course, all the other corporate. But I was saying, so there are a lot of opportunities here in this. That's why I said you can do almost everything.
Everything.
What is the issue is that the governments now, they also should come out of the issue of the aid. Because aid are loans you get from IMF or from the World Bank or from some governments, and then they use it even as budget support.
Yeah.
But then there are the grants, even better. But now they have to get into a new perspective. They have to invite these people and make things easy.
Manufacture.
For example, here in Kenya. Now, I'm not here to criticize, but I have to say something. Kenya Invest. I went to Kenya Invest when I arrived to Kenya. In order to, because Kenya Invest, they said, come over because whoever wants to invest in Kenya, you come here. It's a governmental agency.
Yeah.
Now, Kenya Invest, for example, gave me some, they gave me some hints, some inputs, okay, but then they didn't tell me, they didn't tell me from A to Z. They only told me from A to D or to E.
Yeah.
And then I had to go again to them, and again, and I had issues in the country. For example, they didn't tell me that, okay, until you don't have the work permit, you cannot be a signatory of a bank account. Can you imagine?
So I think the flow then of information for the investors coming in needs to be clear,
Clear,
so that
transparent,
transparent,
and no bribes.
yeah,
No
no
bribes.
yeah.
The corruption, corruption is one of the things that keep, especially
Investors out
let's
of
say
Africa.
those, let's say, small and medium investors, but they are very
They're
important.
very important.
Because those small and medium investors of $200, $300, $500,000, they start creating things that will enlarge, will get bigger. Okay, they start employing people, 10, 15, 30. You don't only need the big corporates.
The big corporates.
Of course, you want everybody to come in, but these are the ones that when they get bribed for the first time, or they get scammed, or they get, you rob them, and they don't trust. I mean, when the trust goes away, they will go and they will disappear.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you will lose good investors. So, what I want to say to investors is not to be afraid to come to Africa, because there are a lot of possibilities. Of course, the only thing that I will suggest them is try to have someone in Africa that can help you
navigate.
That's
And also, I have noted, like, for instance, in Malindi, a lot of Italians have retired and made it their home. If you go to like Kipi, Nanyuki, Karen, a lot of Americans and Britons, there's this trend of a prime real estate in Africa. What do you have to comment about that?
Well, it's normal. If you're rich, you're quite rich, and to live here, it's very nice.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. I mean, there are some, the weather is beautiful.
Yeah, the weather.
Kenya, for example, has a weather that is fantastic.
One of the best in the world, for sure.
So the weather, the food, the people are nice. By the way, I mean, it's the environment is very nice. The only issue that you have, which that's why you have to be quite rich, is the fact that you don't have a free healthcare system. I mean, the welfare of Kenya doesn't touch, healthcare and education. So this is an issue all over Africa. But the fact that they come here is because life is much.
One minute you're in the ocean, the next you're with lions in Masai Mara, the next you're in a mountain in Mount Kenya.
Here, you're living in Nairobi, for example. You can every weekend, if you want, you can go to visit a wonderful place. 2 hours, 3 hours away from Nairobi. You go there, you have parks that are, and these lodges that are there, these hotels. I mean, it's camps. They're wonderful. So the life is really very, very
interesting and affordable. So I think we've gone through hospitality and tourism. We've looked at mining as one of the areas for investing in Africa. We've looked at agribusiness, and that is a huge area, and I know you have interest in agribusiness, and I do. The potential of African farmlands, of the volcanic soils that are very rich to grow, whether it's organic food, whether it's wheat, whether it's maize in Malawi, whether it's in Zambia, olive oil and sunflower oil, avocados from Tanzania and the rest of Africa. So the potential for just partnering and scaling agribusiness in Africa is huge. Service industry, again.
That is the very last thing I wanted to touch, the service industry. You know that you have the primary sector, the secondary sector, that's manufacturing, and the tertiary sector, that is services. A lot of all those that are in the field of services. For example, many call centers are placed here in Kenya because of your fantastic, and also in Ghana. They are the two countries with the best English in Africa. And so they come here too. They set up here in Nairobi call centers. And just to give you this one aspect of service.
And I know even Facebook was here this week, and they want to launch uh, much bigger programs in Kenya. We have Google has big offices here, Twitter, and all these big
Yeah,
techie companies.
Because the young people, another thing to say, what the wealth of Africa is also their population. 50% of the African population is under 18 years of age.
True.
So this is not an old continent. This is a young
The youngest continent.
So this is the let me put it this way. This is the strongest continent. It's the strongest continent
For sure.
because the young people are strong.
Yeah. For
And,
sure.
and let me say also that in several countries the education system is good.
Yeah.
So for example, here in Kenya, the education system is good.
Yeah.
So the young people are knowledgeable. So that is something that a company needs because you need human resources.
Yeah.
And here the youngsters, they have knowledge, they have skills. So that is a point that is very, very important to invest.
Yeah, another area of investment, and I know we've discussed this with you before, is even in the healthcare sector and education sector. I have seen investors coming in and setting up, as you've said, Africans and Kenyans really love education, and some people are willing to pay a premium dollar for a good academy that affords them an all-rounded child. So some of these sectors are also very vibrant.
They are extremely vibrant because if you come from I already know several of them. If you come from abroad with the right skills, and I mean to open a clinic here, you make money 100%.
Yeah.
You open a school, you make money 99.9%.
Yeah.
Of course, because you need the teachers, you need a good environment, you need good facilities. But at the end of the day, people here usually they even pay $1,500 a month to send their kids to school. One child, only one child. So that's money.
Yeah.
That's money. So also to give you some. But once again, I really ask those who are seeing this video. They will say, hey, no, why not? Because you have to diversify your activities. Diversification is very
Your portfolio
important.
is very key.
So you can also come to Africa. Why not? It is very important. Even because the profit you can make in Africa is higher than the profit that you can make in Europe or in the US or even in Asia. So in Africa you could have a higher
rate of return. Yes.
A higher rate of return. But you need someone, once again, navigate, as Elijah said before,
to navigate the complexities.
The complexities that you might find. Once you are over those complexities, when you start walking alone, it's done.
Thank you very much. I think you must agree with me that Antonio is now African, and we baptize him as one of us. We love people. Africa is a vibrant continent. We love when we receive guests, but most importantly, because we want to move away from aid, we are looking at investors coming in, collaborating and partnering with local companies to grow this vibrant continent. As Antonio mentioned earlier, the median age in Africa is 19. Think about it. As Japan declines and Canada declines because of the age, the demographics are against them. You come to Africa and the median age is 19. You know what that tells you? That the future of manufacturing is Africa. The future of sports is in Africa. The future of media, theater is in Africa. So we are welcoming the Africans in the diaspora. We're welcoming investors from Europe, from Asia, from the Americas, from the Caribbean. This is a continent that seeks out those who would like to do things differently. And while doing it, you get to enjoy the sights and scenes of Africa, all the way from Limpopo to the south. Then you come to the east and to the west. Africa is very diverse, and the portfolio of business opportunities economic opportunities that exist with a very high rate of return is mind-boggling. Just in real estate, I think whenever I host guests here, they say Africa is still under construction. Every turn, there is a big skyscraper coming up. What does that tell you? Everyone is here. Make a diligent decision to visit Africa as a tourist, then fall in love with Africa, and like Antonio, marry an African or invest in Africa. Thank you for viewing. We'll be back with more nuggets from Antonio and myself. And if you have any questions, we'll be providing an email. We'll be providing a way to reach us or to reach Antonio for more feedback, as we would like to engage with you. This is a series that will be coming to you again and again. So thank you for watching. Share with a friend, subscribe, and let a friend know and tell more friends, because this is information you cannot miss to get. Thank you very much.